Update here as multiple officials are learning their punishment for a public corruption scheme. Wanda Greene being sentenced to 7 years in prison. They were saying that she could have been facing 33 years, potentially. Wanda Greene, pictured here. Interesting, as somebody else involved in the same case, Mandy Stone, was sentenced to 33 months today. Wanda Greene's son also sentenced. Now, it's interesting that Wanda Greene's name came up recently in another story another news story that I had covered. The indictment of Ellen Frost. In July, I did a video about Ellen Frost using taxpayer funds for personal activities, and she worked with corrupt manager Wanda Greene. Wanda Greene worked with Ellen Frost, the Black Mountain Democrat, to use more than $575,000 of public funds on personal activities in North Carolina and elsewhere, according to an 11-count federal indictment against the Black Mountain Democrat. And they had mentioned in this article on the indictment of Ellen Frost in July that we were still waiting for this update, that we're get this major update today involving these other officials. The sentencing date, they noted at the end back in July that Greene, along with other county officials who have pleaded guilty to corruption charges, ex-managers Mandy Stone, John Creighton, longtime county contractor Joe Wiseman, and former business intelligence manager Michael Greene, are scheduled to be sentenced August 28th. Michael Greene is the son of Wanda Greene, who is getting this 7-year sentence today. Article here saying Judge Robert Conrad said Wanda Greene's actions were a horrific abuse of office, as he sentenced her to 84 months or 7 years in prison and fined her $100,000 for her plea to 4 federal charges and multiple corruption schemes. In announcing today's sentences, one U.S. attorney had said in an official release that this is a reprehensible group of individuals whose ethical obligation to their community took a back seat to personal gain. As the ringleader, Wanda Greene exploited her vast knowledge of the county's operations to orchestrate various financial schemes and solicited willing co-conspirators to carry out the fraud. These 5 defendants repeatedly and egregiously plundered county funds, stealing thousands of public dollars while they operated with utter impunity, believing that they were beyond the law. Even worse, each of them did more than take public money. Their actions destroyed the public's trust in those whose ethical standards should have been beyond reproach. Today is their day of reckoning. After questioning if she was a flight risk, the judge decided to allow Greene, 68 years old, to self-report to the Bureau of Prisons at a future date. They note that Greene had been hired as assistant Buncombe County manager in May of 1994. 3 years later, Greene was appointed as the county manager. After 20 years, in May of 2017, Greene announced her retirement. Greene, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office, was at the center of 3 different schemes to defraud taxpayers. Quote here says, when public officials put aside the best interest of the American public and choose to line their own pockets, we are all impacted. These type of crimes are at the center for the fight against public corruption. The FBI is dedicated to working with our law enforcement partners in the Western District of North Carolina to root out public corruption at any level of office. There's one special agent commenting on the case. Another picture of Wanda Greene with her attorney leaving court from 2018, back when she was first indicted before the sentencing today. As for the charges, Greene was charged in 3 separate indictments. First indictment, filed in April of 2018 against Wanda Greene and Michael Greene, charged Wanda Greene with 1 count of conspiracy to commit an offense against the United States, 5 counts of federal program fraud, abiding and abetting the same, and 50 counts of wire fraud and aiding and abetting the same in the indictment that dealt with personal purchases among them on county credit cards or P cards. Among the purchases were gift cards for Target, Staples, Home Depot, Sam's Club, and other things which Greene later used to make personal purchases. The second indictment filed in June 2018 against Greene included 12 counts of wire fraud, 7 counts of federal program fraud, 6 counts of converting to own use property, and 3 counts of money laundering. The government later filed a superseding indictment to the charges. This indictment dealt with $2.3 million worth of illegal whole life insurance policies purchased for Greene and other top county leaders. The indictment also said that Greene told the county employees who would receive policies to keep them a secret. It also said shortly after retiring, Greene cashed out her 2 life insurance policies for $396,000. According to the indictment, they say commissioners never approved and never even knew about the existence of Greene's life insurance scheme. The third indictment, filed in August of 2018, charged Greene and John Creighton and Mandy Stone. Greene was charged with 29 counts of wire fraud, 1 count of conspiracy to defraud the United States, and 2 counts of converts to own use property of another. The indictment says an unnamed contractor bought trips and gifts for the 3 top county officials in exchange for county business, while the contractor, later identified as Joseph Wiseman, received $15 million in business from the county over a period of decades. The alleged crimes began in 2014 when the contractor started his own business. He paid, at least in part, for 20 trips, according to the indictment. Greene, Creighton, and Stone, these corrupt officials, traveled to places like Key West, Florida, Martha's Vineyard, Vienna, Austria, Budapest, Hungary, courtesy of the contractor, according to the indictment. It's alleged at the time that the county unwittingly funded the crimes because the contractor would submit invoices to the county while concealing the actual expenses and then be refunded. So that's how they covered this up. They're saying the contractor has since argued that he did not pad contracts and that he paid for the trips out of his own profits from business with the county. Additionally, Greene was charged with illegally getting money for unused paid time off. The county allows employees to get cash back for unused vacation time. Greene sold back vacation time to the county. The indictment says that they did not count the vacations paid for by the contractor as vacations. Instead, they said they were away on official business. That's what they had claimed. Greene's plea agreement, she had pleaded guilty to 1 charge in each of the 4 schemes, which included 1 count of federal program fraud in the first indictment. She pleaded guilty to 1 count of federal program fraud and 1 count of money laundering in the second indictment and superseding indictment, which dealt with multiple tax frauds, and 1 count of receipts of bribes and kickbacks, aiding and abetting in the third indictment. The maximum penalty, again, they point out she could have potentially gotten 33 years. Max penalty would have been 33 years and a $1 million fine, or both. So 7 years and $100,000 fine is obviously much less than that. Her lawyers, I believe, were arguing for 4 years or less, which I guess it's good that they did not go along with that. But her son getting a lesser sentence, being sentenced to 6 months and a $5,000 fine. That's Michael Greene, Wanda Greene's son. John Creighton, the former assistant Buncombe County manager, is sentenced to 18 months in prison today. A 1-year supervised release and $25,000 fine. Another sentence from today, 33 months in prison for former assistant Buncombe County manager Mandy Stone, along with a 1-year supervised release and $15,000 fine. And finally, Joseph Wiseman, sentenced to 37 months, or just over 3 years. I think we're still waiting on some further updates on exactly what is going to end up happening with Ellen Frost. She has been indicted as well, and interesting again, Wanda Greene involved with Ellen Frost, named in the indictment of county commissioner, this Black Mountain Democrat, Ellen Frost, as well. So that was one case that, just because I'd covered that in a previous video, I thought that this was a interesting update either way, having multiple officials in this county, pretty major corruption investigation. Let me know what you think about the sentences. I will continue to follow this here and follow up soon. Thanks.